All right, what's up, everybody? We are back. It is week 10 of Survivor. You're in Dave's Sports Betting Corner, Dave's R&R, with your host here, Dave. We're doing things a little differently this week. I'm on the road. I wasn't able to record with Franco and Ryan, but they tag teamed it the 1-2 punch. They got to record together. So they're going to be kind of leading the show this week. At the end here, I'm going to give my pick. Last week was a pretty chalky week, and everyone in our league won their picks. I'm sure a lot of people had the same picks across the league. So going into week 10, we've hit the double digits, and it's going to get pretty dicey from here on out. This is really where you have to pick and choose your battles. Do you go with the biggest guarantee of the week, or do you start looking a few weeks ahead? I start doing that myself, and I'm starting to kind of second guess what I'm picking every week here. I'll just recap my picks that I've had so far this year. I've had the Commanders, Giants, Chiefs, 49ers, Dolphins, Rams, Seahawks, Ravens, and Browns. I'm glad Franco and Ryan did their thing so they can recap their picks because it's becoming a mouthful. We're getting so far into the season. So I'm going to let them take over from this point on. I'll see y'all at the end of the pod with my Survivor Week 10 pick.
All right, Dave, thanks for having us back. Week 10 of Survivor. I've been here for a few weeks now. Ryan is now a returning guest as well. So, just to recap where we are so far, I'll run through my picks for the year, starting with week 1. I went Ravens, Cowboys, Seahawks, Eagles, Dolphins, Chiefs, Bills, which was my first loss, and then Lions, Browns. So I'm back on a two game win streak. I'm living on the edge. One more loss, and I'm out of this league. Um, Ryan, you can go over your picks and then even give a recap of our league and where we're at with the remaining contestants.
I started off week one with Washington, went Dallas, Kansas City, Philadelphia, Miami, Buffalo. I took a loss with the Rams, and then I'm also on a two-game win streak with the Ravens and the New Orleans Saints. Last week in our league, I know we talked about it on the podcast. We thought it was going to be pretty chalk, and it was. There's 40 people left, and it was pretty divided. It was almost 50-50. 24 people went with the Cleveland Browns, and then the rest went with the Saints. Cleveland won that game in two quarters. Just like Franco said last week, that defense is just too good for Clayton Tune to do anything against. And the offense was, they did what they had to do. They put up 27, and they won the game. The Saints game definitely got close, but they eked out a win, and that's all you need in this league. I went with New Orleans last week, and pretty happy about it because I don't know when else I'm going to pick New Orleans. So, kind of like week one, picking Washington. It's just like it's one of those picks where you eked through it, and you're okay with that, and you were able to sneak a cute pick in there. For the rest of the league, same thing because everyone went chalk last week, so we still have 40 people left. 33 people have one loss, and 7 people are undefeated.
Yeah, that's a pretty crazy thing to happen. Just two teams picked with that many people still left in the game. Usually doesn't get like that till the end.
Oh yeah,
Let's look at week 10.
yeah.
Let's just recap the best picks available. Um, I can start off with one of them. Probably, well, the biggest spread of the week looks to be Cowboys. Um, the Giants are visiting the Cowboys. Minus 16 is the spread. We just learned
Yeah,
that Daniel
it's a
Jones
big
is
one.
out for the year. So um, they Giants,
Tyrod's
yeah,
also
the
out
Giants
too.
had a sliver of hope with Daniel Jones coming back, but then that got taken right from them right away. So if anyone has the Cowboys left, it's probably who they're going to go with this week. Um, what else you got, Ryan?
Yeah, I looked at probably about 5 teams. This is not going to be a chalk week by any means. Like Franco said, if you got Dallas left, go ahead and pick them because that is such an obvious pick. Most of us, I know Franco and I both took Dallas week 2. We got our wins out of it, so can't complain. But we don't have them left. The other picks that I'm looking at are all teams that are kind of mulling above 500. Pittsburgh, the Raiders, Seattle, and Buffalo. I don't love any of these games. They're all at home, so that's definitely good. I kind of have two rules that I usually go against, and it's don't pick against division teams and don't pick teams who are on the road. So Having these teams all at home definitely comforts me a little bit, but Pittsburgh's playing Green Bay. Green Bay looks like a heaping trash pile, and Pittsburgh looks like they know how to sneak their way into some wins. So that might be a pick. The Raiders look like a brand new team with a new coach. That Jets defense is pretty solid, but that offense is just so bad that, I think you can go with the Raiders. And then the other one is Seattle. Seattle just got absolutely throttled by the Ravens. The Ravens are probably going to end up winning their division and being a top team in the league. So you can't read too much into that. Seattle coming back home with Washington, taking that West Coast trip, might be a good pick too. So that's where I'm looking at. I think if I had to lock in today, I'm probably locking in Seattle.
Going back home, they also just made the trip across the West Coast. So even though it's home for them, they also just made the trip. So something to note there. But I feel solid about that pick for you. I know you mentioned the Broncos visiting the Bills. The last time the Broncos played a game, they had a bye last week, they beat the Chiefs. So I wouldn't feel too comfortable picking the
Yeah.
Bills. I already did pick the Bills and they lost to the Patriots. So they're already on my bad side. So pick Buffalo at your own risk this week. Because they have not looked great. Even though they don't look great.
No, they haven't.
But moving on to my pick, if I had to lock it in here on Wednesday, I am going to go Cincinnati Bengals with the Houston Texans rolling into town. A little bit scary considering what C.J. Stroud just did last week.
C.J. Stroud.
The game winner with like 4 seconds left to Tank Dell. I don't think that'll be an issue. Taking nothing away from C.J. Stroud in their offense, but Joe Burrow and the Bengals just look like they're back in form from what they've been the last 2 years. Joe Burrow can move around in the pocket. He can move around scrambling. I don't see them losing to a team that's 4-4. Even though they're only 5-3, I just think the beginning of the season they were just not themselves. So I'm going to lock it in with Cincinnati Bengals this week.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's a good pick. I am definitely terrified of C.J. Stroud. He looks like, the real deal already. I wonder if the Panthers are kicking themselves yet, taking Bryce Young over him. It's still very early in the year, and definitely very early in both their careers. So who knows what's happening? But C.J. Stroud's definitely the number one guy for Rookie of the Year right now, and if he keeps this up, what do you think about him getting some MVP votes if the Texans sneak into winning that division?
That division's pretty wide open, so it's not that much of a far cry.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure, I don't know the numbers specifically, but I'm sure he's on pace to break some rookie records as a quarterback. I mean,
Yeah. No, he broke Andrew Luck's record last week for in a game, but the fact that he's 14 touchdowns, he already has more. I saw this stat. He has more touchdowns
yes.
than Kenny Pickett has thrown in his career already in his limited time, and he's only thrown one pick in that time. I mean, that's usually the kryptonite for most of these rookies is they throw too many picks, and he's on the Texans. It's not like he's thrown to DeAndre Hopkins and has Arian Foster back there. Like it's just him throwing a Tank Dell.
Yeah, and Tank Dell even missed a few weeks, and they just kept rolling. So, yeah.
And they won the game. I don't know if you saw this, but that running back kicked in a field goal.
Yeah,
for
their
them.
kicker got hurt.
That was nuts.
I don't know the name of that running back, but when I saw him warming up to kick kickoffs, I was like, what happened there? That's it for us on Week 10. Dave, what are you thinking for your lock of the week?
All right, and the pick that I'm going to go with this week is the Cincinnati Bengals against the Texans. It does make me super nervous if I had to lock this in right now. I'd be shaking. I'm going to be shaking while this game's going on. The Cowboys make the most sense. They have the highest spread. I think it's just about as lock of a win as you can be, but I'm starting to look ahead to next week. They play the Carolina Panthers. That should be an automatic win. I know Ryan always tells me it's a week-by-week game, but they're the best team to use next week. There's not really many games I like next week. So I'm going to use the Bengals this week. Hopefully they can squeak by the Texans. I think the Bengals are back to the point where they can beat the Texans, and I think it could be more handily than the 7-point spread says. We'll see how it ends up going. but I'm going with the Bengals as well this week. And just want to thank everybody for listening. Thank you to Franco and Ryan for forging ahead. I know I wasn't able to get on with them this week, but they did an awesome job with their segment. And thank you everyone for tuning in again. I hope you're still in your survivor pool. Hopefully we can all make it to the end of our respective pools. Let's all win some money. Keep on supporting the podcast and have a great weekend.